Scenario B contemplates a future for Mooresville largely influenced by existing plans, policies, and ordinances enforced by town officials, i.e., the business as usual. Broadly speaking, the town remains a suburban community characterized by low-density residential neighborhoods, auto-oriented shopping centers, large-scale apartment complexes, standalone office buildings, and a limited number of new industrial centers. New development in the planning area is generally low density, low profile, single use, and not well connected. The concept map, pictured here, depicts preferred development types, locations, patterns, styles, and intensities for the planning area, assuming full build-out of Scenario B. Some areas on the map reflect what currently exists today. Some are more aspirational in nature, and others are a mix of what exists today and what could be in the future. Suburban neighborhoods typically include one housing type, single-family detached, on uniform lot sizes. Homes are oriented toward streets with rear yards smaller than front yards. Multifamily complexes typically include one housing type, townhomes, apartments, or condominiums, in uniform buildings. Buildings are oriented interior to the site and are surrounded by large surface parking lots and landscape buffers. Buildings in shopping centers are set back from the road behind large surface parking lots with little or no connectivity between adjacent businesses. Common types of shopping centers include multi-tenant strip centers, big box stores, and out-parcel buildings near the big box stores. Both large-scale, single-tenant industrial, warehouse, and flex space buildings, and smaller, multi-tenant industrial buildings are clustered in specific areas of the community. Industrial areas are typically buffered from surrounding development by tree preservation areas or landscaped areas, with the type and size of the buffer a function of the activities being performed on the site. Office complexes support both large-scale, isolated buildings with large surface parking lots, as well as areas containing multiple businesses that support and serve one another. They are typically buffered from surrounding development by transitional uses or landscaped areas. Residents in Scenario B generally drive from work to home, school, and shopping centers to meet their daily needs. Significant tree stands or working farms may be lost in the future to support new development. Home choices represented in the scenario respond to today's easy market trend for homogeneous neighborhoods, single-family detached home neighborhoods, townhome communities, and apartment complexes. Downtown remains quaint and charming, with low-profile buildings and new public spaces, emphasizing more restaurants, shops, and offices over new and different residential dwelling units in and around the downtown. Infill development, adding more development to a previously developed area, and redevelopment, which is replacing existing development with new and different development, are low priorities for the scenario. A limited number of small mixed-use activity centers are depicted on the map, matching those presented in the One Mooresville Comprehensive Plan. They support low to moderate development where visitors drive to, park once, and often walk between shops, restaurants, or civic spaces. A limited number of residents may live nearby and walk directly to destinations inside the activity center. Morrison Plantation, at the northwest corner of Williamson Road and Brawley School Road, is one example of a suburban mixed-use activity center that has been successful in Mooresville. Some activity centers depicted on the map will replace existing strip commercial shopping centers, especially those along NC Highway 150. 3 types of activity centers identified for Scenario B are described on the slides that follow. Rural crossroads. These are small nodes of mixed-use development, primarily commercial in nature along rural highways or at important rural highway intersections. Small-scale, compact businesses are oriented toward a main street, intersection, parking area, or green space, and serve as gathering places for the community or as nearby destinations to meet some of the daily needs of the surrounding rural population. Neighborhood Activity Center. Neighborhood activity centers locate small, mixed-use destinations close to residential neighborhoods throughout the town's planning area. Each activity center is expected to be neighborhood serving, with land uses that meet the daily needs of nearby residents. Their proximity to neighborhoods requires that operations be low intensity, unobtrusive, and at scale and design compatible with nearby residential development. The design of neighborhood activity centers should effectively transition between residential and non-residential uses, and include safe and convenient pedestrian and bicycle access for nearby residents. Standalone residential uses, if appropriate, in a neighborhood activity center should be secondary to commercial and office uses or open spaces in terms of building square footage, land area, and intensity of development. Homes in an activity center should vary in building type, size, and format to avoid design monotony and help transition effectively to existing land uses and development intensities observed on adjacent properties. Village activity centers are focal points in the community and offer the opportunity to serve broader economic, entertainment, and housing needs for residents and visitors. Land uses and buildings on small blocks encourage active public spaces between buildings. Public spaces are sized and designed to be gathering places for local residents and their surrounding neighborhoods. Homes in and surrounding the center of development may offer several choices to live and experience the mixed-use area, including, but not limited to, missing middle home choices such as single-dwelling homes on small lots, townhouses, duplexes, triplexes, or quadplexes, and accessory dwelling units. A larger village activity center may be surrounded by one or more mixed-density residential neighborhoods which provide additional nearby home choices and encourage active living with a comprehensive and interconnected network of walkable streets. An intended growth area was delineated in a computer model for each scenario, which tested multiple growth targets for the Mooresville planning area. Future development would be focused in areas identified in dark red on the map using rules, policies, or requirements presented in the new Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan and/or the Town of Mooresville Unified Development Ordinance. Large-scale or intense development would be discouraged in areas identified as green on the map, using other rules, policies, and requirements in the Comprehensive Plan or Unified Development Ordinance. Scenario B favors growth and development dispersed throughout the community and influenced largely by the size and location of vacant parcels that remain in the planning area. The boundaries of the intended growth area match those for Tiers 1 and 2 presented in the 1 Mooresville Comprehensive Plan. Infrastructure will need to expand outward to support new growth and development located further away from existing service areas. The town and their infrastructure partners will need to plan for, fund, and schedule future improvements to keep up with an expanding development footprint, i.e., water, sewer, schools, transportation, fire protection, police protection, parks, recreation facilities, etc. Growth forecast for the planning area in Scenario B was allocated to grid cells using a computer software and the list of pipeline projects identified earlier in this presentation. White dots on the map represent the pipeline development inventory for Scenario A. Basically, we cannot ignore projects already approved by the town's Board of Commissioners in any of the alternative scenarios, B through E. Black dots on the map represent either 1 new development unit or 1 new square foot of non-residential development allocated to the planning area between 2024 and 2040, using the rules and preferences expressed specifically for Scenario B. The amount of land disturbed by new development, residential and non-residential combined for Scenario B, is just under 15% of the total planning area, which represents an area approximately 30 times larger than downtown Mooresville. The project team for Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan calculated the impacts for 10 indicators: new residents, new employees, new students, new police officers, new firefighters, new park acres, new greenways, new water demand, and new sewer demand, as well as solid waste demand, associated with future growth and development patterns depicted on the 2 maps presented for Scenario B on the previous slide. Information for each of the 10 indicators is presented under 3 conditions: existing conditions, future year conditions for the full planning area, and future year conditions for the town limits only. You can learn more about the different reporting geographies used for the new comprehensive plan, the town limits, extraterritorial jurisdiction, areas of influence, and full planning area by reading the introduction chapter on the existing conditions tab of our project, www.mooresville-tomorrow.com. Please visit the same existing conditions tab on the project website for our book report series, which presents existing conditions and emerging trends for the full planning area. Separate reports are available for environment, land use, infrastructure, market conditions, and a review of existing town policies and ordinances. The first column of data in the summary poster for Scenario B represents existing conditions observed for each indicator in the full planning area. The second column of data in the summary poster for Scenario B represents future year conditions expected for each indicator. In this case, the data is reported for the full planning area. The third column in the summary poster for Scenario B also represents future year conditions, 2040, that are expected for each indicator. However, in this case, the data is reported for town limits only. Governments have certain responsibilities to construct, operate, maintain, and replace community facilities and services, that is, infrastructure, to keep pace with existing and future year development patterns. Some infrastructure categories are planned and funded solely by the Town of Mooresville, while others are provided by Iredell County, Mooresville Graded School District, the Iredell-Statesville School District, the State of North Carolina, private utility companies, or other partners. In some cases, private developers build certain infrastructure, usually streets, water lines, sewer lines, parks, public spaces, etc., to serve their newly developed neighborhoods, employment centers, shopping centers, and so forth. And they'll dedicate it to the town, Iredell County, or NCDOT when the project is complete. The type, location, and capacity of infrastructure in the community, its service delivery, are critical to the town's ability to grow and develop in accordance with the concept map presented earlier for Scenario B. Service delivery is also critical to managing the cost and timing of needed improvements, which can dramatically impact property owners with increased taxes if expenditures are not well planned and well funded in future year capital and operating budgets. The information presented over the next few slides approximates the demand for new facilities and services generated by the type, location, pattern, mix, and intensity of development envisioned for the planning area. Data is reported for 5 categories: police protection, fire protection, parks and public spaces, sewer service, and water service. This information will be considered again during a detailed cost of services study that will be prepared in the coming months to accompany the new Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan. Information generated in the cost of services study for expected revenues, expected expenditures, capital needs, and potential return on investment, that is, revenues versus expenditures, will allow stakeholders the opportunity to make more informed decisions about their future. Continued development away from existing police resources will stretch the department, which will necessitate 2 new police annex buildings, both marked with a red asterisk on the map, somewhere in the eastern portions of town limits. 98 new patrol vehicles will also be needed to keep pace with the number of new officers hired to match population growth. 2 new fire stations, Station 7 in the Langtree area and Station 8 near the new Exit 38 Activity Center proposed on Interstate 77, would be needed to serve future development and maintain minimum fire suppression and response time standards. Both locations are marked with a white asterisk on the map. Additional staff and equipment would also be needed to add existing stations to serve new development types and intensities. A significant number of new parks are proposed to serve an expanding development footprint. The size, location, and design of parks would vary and support a hierarchy of regional parks serving all residents of Mooresville, community parks serving large areas of community, neighborhood parks serving surrounding neighborhoods, and public spaces in activity centers designed as plazas, cafes, and attractive streets for walking. Many of the parks or public spaces proposed in the activity centers would be built by developers as a condition of approval for their projects. See the activity center descriptions presented earlier in the recording. A significant increase to the existing sewer service area, generally the town limits, would be needed in all directions to serve the intended growth area for Scenario B. The footprint of the potential service area would nearly double. However, the timing and location of system expansion would be influenced by the distribution of future growth and development depicted on the growth allocation maps presented earlier. A significant increase to the existing water service area, generally the town limits, would also be needed in all directions to serve the intended growth area for Scenario B. The footprint of the potential service area would nearly double. However, the timing and location of system expansion would be influenced by the distribution of future growth and development depicted on the growth allocation maps presented earlier. This concludes our brief overview of Scenario B being considered for the Mooresville Tomorrow Comprehensive Plan. Remember to click on the link in our story map to review all 8 presentation boards that were created to summarize key aspects of the scenario in more detail. These are the same presentation boards that we displayed at the 4 in-person events held in late August. Please contact David Cole at the Mooresville Planning Department with any questions you have. Thank you.